Earlier, I spoke with Democratic Congresswoman Cheri Bustos of Illinois about what she thought of the new health care bill. You are a Democrat from a district that voted for Donald Trump in the last election. What are you hearing from your constituents about this new health care bill?
No, I'm not hearing anything good. Here's what's amazing. Donald Trump won my congressional district, and just for a little perspective, it's the entire northwestern region of the state of Illinois, 7,000 square miles. 11 of my 14 counties are rural, and he won, as you pointed out. But these are people who are falling into this category of getting ready to be charged as much as 5 times more because they're between the ages of 55 and 64 if this so-called American Health Care Act is passed. And, you know, they want their voices to be heard. I go home and when I used to do meetings, we might have a handful of people show up. Now we have to open, you know, the back wall of a room to expand it because there's so many people who are speaking out and want to be heard about this. And what do the Washington Republicans do today? They pass this this so-called American Health Care Act out of the budget committee in a span of 45 minutes without any testimony, without hearing from people who are impacted. And, you know, it's just the wrong way to go about this.
Well, you worked in healthcare before being elected to Congress. What obstacles do you see in this bill being passed or even implemented?
Well, if I can speak from a somewhat of a Heartland perspective, I did work in healthcare before, during, and after the Affordable Care Act was passed. So we knew before this was passed that there were 50 million uninsured Americans. We knew we were on an unsustainable path in America as it pertained to delivering health care, the cost of it, the quality of it. Then it passed, and obviously it's an imperfect bill. But to say that we're going to throw this out and keep in place what my guess is that the Republicans have poll tested and realized, well, it's kind of popular to keep kids up to age 26 on your health insurance plan. And yeah, it's probably pretty popular that we don't discriminate against people with pre-existing conditions. And all of that is good, and that is obviously part of the Affordable Care Act. But what won't work under the Republicans' plan is it will not be affordable. It will hurt seniors at a much worse level than it will hurt anybody else. It'll hurt our children. We have to understand that if anybody wants to view Medicaid as this program that is, you know, just for those poor people, well, you know, that's not exactly the case. It is the biggest funder of long-term care for our seniors, for people with disabilities, and that program would literally be gutted under this. We will go back to the days where there will be 50 million uninsured Americans again. We will go back to the days where seniors are discriminated against and are charged much more than people in other areas because of this new way that the Washington Republicans want to pay for their bill.
Finally, Congresswoman, I want to get your take on President Trump's proposed budget. He's describing it as an America First plan. How do you see it?
Well, he's calling it an America First plan because of what he's doing to gut funding to help other countries. And, you know, I know that's a popular talking point for some segments of our society. But let's look at, again, if I can talk from a Heartland perspective, this was the Heartland of America is where Donald Trump dominated. I won in my district by 20 points, again, in a district that Donald Trump won, because I've lived in this region for most of my life. I go home every weekend. I do what's called Supermarket Saturdays, where I shop in our grocery stores all over our region. I'm buying cornflakes along with grandmas and moms, and I ask them what's on their minds. And I do something that we call Cheri on Shift, where I job shadow people they might be welding. So I'm a spot welder right alongside them, or I might process carp from the Mississippi River, or, you know, I'm a certified forklift driver now. So these are people who did vote for Donald Trump in the majority in my district. But what his budget does is it guts programs that will impact the Heartland. He cuts the U.S. Department of Agriculture by more than 20%. It was the third biggest cut of any of his agency cuts. And these are programs that help build projects on rural schools and rural hospitals. They make sure that small towns have the resources to improve their water and their sewer systems that they otherwise wouldn't have money for. These are programs that give low-interest loans to businesses that can't go just to any bank because they are rural businesses. And Donald Trump is literally gutting these programs, and these are areas that voted for him. So my message to not just people in my congressional district, but to the heartland all over America is take a look at this budget. He may have been elected by so many people in the heartland, but he does not deserve, or he should not be placing this kind of burden on regions like ours.
All right. Illinois Congresswoman Cheri Bustos in Washington, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.